Go ahead and call Morris County Fiscal Court to order, August 16th, 2016. Under guest, I believe Lisa is in court. She's going to be running late. They had some emergency cases that they had to deal with. So Julie, Julie Connor from the Health Department, if you want to come up, I believe you're going to talk to us about mosquitoes.
Really, I'm just here on behalf of the environmental department, not the department as a whole. We have a team that deals with things like this at the health department. I'm part of that team, but I'm really here just for environmental. The only reason that I wanted to bring this up today is because you all are out there with the citizens and you get all the questions and things like that. So this is just a reminder that we have partnered with the Department for Ag, and we are doing mosquito spraying. Basically, we man the list at the health department, and then we send that in, and Department of Ag goes out and sprays. They'll do this till frost. But the environmental management branch has asked the local health departments to step that up. So normally, we would just be there for people to call in, and we would take the information down, but now we're very active with it. For some reason, it seems like since we moved into the new building, it's like that service didn't really carry over. We just didn't get the call for service that we'd had in the past. So, that's okay. It's good if you can hear me on that. So anyway, just to kind of give you some numbers, in May, we had 54 that we sprayed, but that's, we had an employee that plays golf all the time, and the mosquitoes were really bad over there, so she took a clipboard and ran through the neighborhood and took a bunch of names. So we had 54 then, but then it was down to 28 in June. July, we stepped it up a little bit, about halfway through or close to the end of July, and we had 26. But now for August, we're at 80 already. So we're just really trying to get the word out. It's all in response to Zika, but it's an awesome community service, and we really need to utilize it. So refer people to us.
Phone number? Who they call?
They can call straight into the main
Straight
health
into the
department
main,
line.
okay.
Mhm. I'm actually visiting public facilities, our resorts and RV parks and things like that to get them on the list. So I'm really I'm doing site visits there and distributing information, but a lot of those are public facilities that make up that 80.
I'm curious, I know Old Gilbertsville has had some problems with mosquitoes in the past, and they've tried, I think they even tried maybe to bring in some bats, but what about communities as a whole, like Old Gilbertsville?
Old Gilbertsville, I think it was last week. The days are kind of running together. I was down in Old Gilbertsville last week. Maybe it was Monday. No, it was last week. Doing some surveillance and looking at the water, standing water and all that. They're in a lot better shape now.
Than what they were?
Now than what they were because of the ditches that have been dug and some diversion that they've done over there.
Yeah, the drainage project that we did last year in Old Gilbertsville's improved the flow of water and that problem immensely. But I mean, not that there's not a problem, but
Tremendously.
that's made a big difference,
It's made
80% better.
Yes, it's made a huge difference. Whoever is over the neighborhood watch over in Old
That's
Gilbertsville.
changed. That lady's moved and well, the Blades were involved in it, but Jeannie
Jeannie. Yes.
Estes maybe, but she's moved. She's moved to
Okay.
Middlesboro or something and be closer to her daughter, and she's sold out, but they're still Anna Williams and Gene Sanders and
Right. I've worked with them, but in regard to Old Gilbertsville, Neighborhood Watch over there has done a pretty good job making communication with the residents in that area to have them call in. Sometimes they make their own list and bring it in. What we can't do anymore is we can't put down a whole area to be sprayed. We have to put down individual names, addresses, and phone numbers. Years ago, we could have put that whole area down and had the whole thing sprayed, but some people are really funny about the application of the pesticide and they don't want it on their property, so we can no longer do that. So that's really our barrier with those neighborhoods. So now it's more just word of mouth. you know, if somebody wants to go around and take names, and we can certainly do that, but we've started out with our public facilities that have all the outside activities and things like that right now. But when you all talk to these folks, just let them know, you know, if they'll call us, and they can also just take it upon themselves to go ahead and make a list, as long as we have the name, address, and phone numbers, all we need. We just can't add them without their permission. So that's all I have.
That's a good program.
If you all
Good
will just help
service.
us get the word out.
Will do. Appreciate it, Julie. Thank you. We'll wait, when Lisa gets here.
Yeah,
we'll
Judge,
call her.
we had some emergency hearings come up this morning, and she's going to cover those and then be up.
Yeah, okay. We'll move on then. Under correspondence, Hope Clinics got their annual fundraising banquet. Hope Clinic, I'll just read their flyer. Life is precious. Hope Clinic invites you to our annual fundraising banquet. It's going to be Monday, September 19th, and Tuesday, September 20th of this year at Kentucky Dam Convention Center. The dinner begins at 5:45 and programs begin at 6:30. An opportunity to make financial gifts will be extended. Dinner is complimentary, and it's Sunday attire. So RSVP if you plan to go before September 5th. The, under correspondence, the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, they just sent this out yesterday. I'll just go ahead and read this. All cooperative agreement participants, notification of change concerning approved emergency funding. The Department of Rural and Municipal Aid receives numerous emergency funding requests per year due to a large number of emergency request project files which have not been closed out, some dating back to 2007. It has become necessary for us to change the method of emergency funding payment disbursement. Beginning September 1st, 2016, any payment approved after this date will be paid as follows. Initially, 50% of the approved amount will be distributed following the completion of the project. After final cost documentation, that's invoices, statements acknowledging the completion of the project and overall cost have been submitted and processed, RMA will then distribute the determining remaining amount. And that is from Gary Reese, Deputy Commissioner. So that changes the way they're going to disperse those funds. I think we're going to be, obviously with the damage that we've got, we'll be requesting some of those emergency funds here in the near future.
Those are just state monies. That's not federal monies. These are just state monies
Right.
you're talking about, this policy.
Right.
Dating back to 2007, and they've still not, doesn't sound good for us in the near future.
They don't get in any hurry, them or the feds, either one, and you may get declared money and promise the money, but sometimes, as Wendy can tell you, it's a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years down the road, and
On federal?
on federal, yeah,
It's usually at least 3.
yeah.
State usually is really quick.
Under old business, we'll go ahead and approve the minutes for August 2nd.
Motion to approve the minutes is written, Judge.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Under old business ordinance 2016-09, building fee schedule amendment, second reading.
This ordinance serves to amend the Marshall County Building Fee Schedule only. Commonwealth of Kentucky, County of Marshall Ordinance Number 2016-09. This amendment this serves as an amendment to Ordinance 2016-01, which contains, as a summary, the building plan review and inspection fees. Generally, a permit to begin work for new construction, alteration, removal, or other building operations shall not be valid until the fees prescribed by law have been paid. The fee table, under Table 1, is the building fee schedule. It also provides for the method of payment. new construction, in-ground swimming pools, additions to existing buildings, alterations and repairs, change in use, failed inspections and additional inspection requests, specialized fees. First is the automatic sprinkler review fee table under Table 2. Then spectator seating provides the specifications for that. Electrical permit and inspection fees, generally, all electrical work shall be permitted and approved by the Marshall County Electrical Inspector. If final certificate of compliance shall not be issued till the fees prescribed by law have been paid. Sets out the fee schedule, and under Table 3, the electrical fee schedule, and also the method of payment, commercial new construction, residential new construction, accessory structures, swimming pools, service poles, manufactured homes and modular homes, alterations and additions to existing service, and failed inspections.
That read, I'd entertain a motion.
Make that motion, Judge.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
This just lined us back up with the state.
Yes.
This is the second reading.
Next on their old business is bids, bridge removal on Sharkow Road.
An advertisement was placed in the Marshall County Tribune Courier for, on Tuesday, August 9th, 2016. Notice the Marshall County Fiscal Court will be accepting sealed bids for removal and disposal of a 60-foot timber bridge located on Sharkow Road, Calvert City, Kentucky. All bids must be submitted to the Judge Executive's office in the Marshall County Courthouse no later than 4:30 p.m. on August 15th, 2016. For more information, contact Wendy Greer at 270-527-3173. There were three bids that came in. This one is from Greer Excavating Service, received August 15th at 2:45 p.m. August 15th, 2016, to Fiscal Court, job location, Sharkow Road Bridge, job description, removal of bridge and abutments, haul off all debris to a certified landfill. Price quote, $35,000. This is from Landworks Group out of Benton, Kentucky, received August 15th at 3 p.m. It's very well taped. Landworks Group hereby proposes to furnish the following materials, equipment, and labor for the completion of demolition of 60-foot timber bridge located northeast 54 Sharp Calvert City Road. Work scope is to include removal of structure in place, hauling, and disposal. All material is guaranteed to be as specified, and the above work to be performed in accordance with the drawings and specifications submitted for above work and completed in a substantial workmanlike manner for the sum of $39,581. Any alteration of or deviation from the above specifications involving extra costs will be executed only upon written orders and will become an extra charge over and above existing agreement. All agreements made between Landworks Group and customer are contingent upon strikes, accidents, or delays beyond our control. This contract may be withdrawn by Landworks Group if not accepted within 60 days.
What is that number again? 39 what?
$39,581.
581?
Yes. And the last one is from Jim Smith Contracting, received August 15th at 3:19 p.m. Jim Smith Contracting is pleased to provide the following proposal for the referenced structure. The lump sum price of $23,281.26 is for the structure removal as defined in the following scope of work. Scope of work: 1, remove existing bridge. Price includes removal and disposal of all wood members of the existing bridge, any spoil, material such as dirt, asphalt, or concrete shall be stockpiled at the site for future bridge construction and can be used to construct temporary berms to block the road after bridge removal. Existing sheeting that is no longer viable and holding back the embankments shall be removed. Sheeting that still serves as bank protection can be left as agreed upon by JSC and the County Road Department. Jim Smith Contracting appreciates the following to supply this proposal. We look forward to working with you in the future. Please contact us if you have any questions, comments, or additional needs. Bobby Hamilton, Project Manager.
What was the total on that?
$23,281.26.
That was all of them?
Yep.
All right. We've got three bids. You got Smith Contracting at 23,281.26. Landmark, I'm not familiar with Landmark. They're Benton.
Yes.
39,581, and then Greer's 35,000.
I think the difference in the bids, Smith didn't include hauling all that off, the concrete and all that. And they're talking about leaving the steel piling. And the others included that. So you have to pay for disposal where they're leaving it, stockpiling it.
We probably need to give that to Wendy to let her review and find out that difference so we can compare apples to apples. I mean, that was my question, if we don't want the material taken out from the creek and put on the bank and
Right. I mean, I think they, should all bid equally.
Right.
Well, you want to take a look at those?
I don't think you'll be able to do that here in the next 30 minutes, will you? I mean, the fact that that's what's happening, I didn't hear anything about disposal by a certified company.
Right.
Where the first two did, they were,
Yeah, it sounded like they weren't leaving anything the first two.
right.
What did the bid ask for it to be removed?
I mean, the specifications when they called the office were that it would, all debris removal, and disposal, yeah.
Jim Smith
Jim
didn't do
Smith,
the,
they said they would just
he didn't do the
stockpile
disposal?
material.
I didn't hear it.
Jim Smith didn't put down for the disposal,
They
right?
just said they would stockpile any spoiled material, which included asphalt, dirt, and then possibly leave some of the decking to shore up any erosion.
That's a non-conforming bid then.
We gotta have a clarification on that,
Well,
like Doc said.
The state, when they came out, the engineers, and looked at it, it's a 60-foot span. They're saying that it needs to be a longer span, almost 90 foot. And if the pilings are still there, I mean, everything needs to be removed, because it sounds like it's going to be some extensive work.
Now, that's my
You're thinking that it's
question.
not,
You'd have to look, I mean, it's not necessarily, if you're gonna put in a 100-foot bridge, if you're gonna, it looks like, or a 90-foot bridge, if you're gonna raise it, looks like, so that you wouldn't necessarily wanna remove the sheet piling. You'd have to let whoever's gonna engineer the next project to be sure, because you might wanna leave that sheet piling right where it is until you start working to build your abutments. You don't want that bank to start caving off while you're, so not pulling that sheet piling may not be a bad thing. The rest of it needs to be gone, but you might, anyway, we just need to look at it and see. I don't know if the state could look at it or somebody to tell us, but wouldn't necessarily remove that sheet piling until I was sure I was ready to. Because like I said, that bank will start caving off. It may be some time for
I mean, I
this
think they know
project.
that they'll have to dig down and, do it the proper way to remove it. But, yeah, I'm not sure. This just says, disposal of all wood members of the existing bridge. And then, any spoiled material such as dirt, asphalt, concrete will be stockpiled for future bridge construction. I mean, I feel like everyone else is gonna be hauling all that off, so.
And
Jason, you're thinking that it's non-conforming?
Didn't meet the specs.
I don't disagree with that, but I don't necessarily mean that we don't necessarily need to pull just the sheet piling that's holding that bank on each side. We put that in recently, and that, some of that's been put in fairly recently to keep that bank. You might not want to pull that. We just need to look at it and say, the rest of it needs to be gone. You don't need a bunch of stuff sitting around there. You're gonna need all the room you can get to.
Well, the state's even talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, Wendy, about where it goes down, that railroad bridge is about 50 yards downstream, and what it's doing is changing the flow of that creek because it goes right into the embankment that supports that bridge, and they almost lost that during this event.
Right.
And they're talking
We
about,
actually videoed it.
Yeah, we did.
yeah,
Showed up right when it was
yeah.
taking a train across. I mean, you can
Yeah.
see where it's,
Yeah, there's
there's
gonna have
definitely
to
gonna be
some
some
more
changes.
work done there on the creek.
If that's the case, and you're gonna change the specs, you probably ought to rebid it, because what you're talking about is completely, is quite a bit different than what you expect.
What do you think? I mean, if
I
we
think
pull
that the
that,
contractors know when they go down there what they've got to do as far as the embankments and all that stuff. I think that they know what they've got to do as far as digging down to make it safe to do. And, I mean, I think we've got, John's here. John, I mean, did you understand that when you went down there and looked at it also?
I did. The steel pilings on one side of the bridge are all completely damaged. They're actually probably what's caused some of the damage because the water's going up and curling around them and then underwashing. So for sure, one side of the steel pilings have got to be removed anyway. The other side towards the river is a little more intact. But, the ones on the
pilings themselves are, if we're talking about the same thing, is the steel structure is one thing, but I know it's not been too long ago, we actually vibrated in or pushed in some sheet piling just to hold the bank on each side of that, didn't we?
Right, on one end. Yeah,
Is that
on
right?
one end.
Well, I mean, you may need to get rid of it, but anyway, if we do, you just have to be ready, because it could start eroding quite a bit.
Right.
Needs to be left till you're ready to start back with the new bridge.
there's the sheet piling, and then there's the bridge piling that's made out of creosote timbers. That's gonna have to be removed when they build the bridge too. So really, you know, I guess it's a time frame issue. If it's gonna be a year before a bridge is constructed, they may wanna leave that to hold it, but if it's, yeah.
Hopefully it don't take a year.
No, we're hoping not.
I mean, you can get rid of, if you think we're gonna be working on it, I mean, pulling it all out is fine. I just was concerned that it's gonna start, and if it starts eroding, I mean, we're gonna put a longer bridge in, we're probably gonna cut a lot of that out anyway.
Right. Yeah, I think we move forward, but that's up to y'all.
Well, the money, I mean, we moved the money's there, so we're prepared to move.
So we've got two responsive bids and one non-responsive, is that correct?
Sounds like it.
So,
And then, I'll tell you what, then, if we're gonna do that, I would at least look at, when you begin to look at your time frame, if it looks like it's gonna be a while, I mean, we could actually clean that, when they finish pulling that out, we could actually clean that bank up a little bit and maybe set a couple of sheet pilings in there. If we think it's gonna start eroding, you could actually take the track hoe and push a couple of 3 or 4 sheet pilings in that would stop that. And that's probably the best way to do it. Just get it all cleaned out. If we see it starts eroding, but be prepared. We've done that several different places
Right.
now. We hadn't done it in years, but we found out that it would work pretty well. And so, anyway, I just don't want the banks to just completely erode away while we're waiting on bridge construction.
I think to do this in a timely manner, which is our intent, as Judge said, and still not have a bridge in a year, that we need to move forward. And if we've got two responsive bids, and one, if we're going to throw out obviously the $23,000, they weren't bidding apples to apples, and if there's no removal, so I would move that we accept the $35,000 bid from Greer Contracting and move forward.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next under old business is the nuisance board appointees. I had two individuals notify my office. Ken Azarella and Bill Fletcher were the two that notified my office as far as wanting to be on the board. I think, Jason, you said Hardin, Randall's got,
Yeah, Judge, we're meeting Thursday in a special session to discuss three things, and that's one of them.
One of
He's
them.
got a candidate in mind. And one thing that I wanted to bring up is that the initial terms are staggered. So one is for 1 year, another one is for 2 years, another one is for 3 years. And what I suggested at Hardin the last time is that since we're just getting the one appointee, let us do the one for 1 year initially, and then the fiscal court can do the 2 and the
2 and the
3 year
3.
appointees. And they're okay with that.
yeah,
So you just designate, if you nominate and the court approves, you just need to designate.
which one has 2 and which one has 3? Well, I think Ken's here. I guess you'll take the 2. Well, I'd entertain a motion for Ken Azarella to be one of the appointees to the board with a 2-year term.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'd also entertain a motion for Bill Fletcher to be one of the board members with the 3-year term.
So moved, Judge.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And we'll get, Kim, we'll get with you and Bill, once Hardin finalizes or identifies their board appointee, then we'll move forward and getting that taken care of, getting together.
Should do that Thursday.
Yeah. 'Cause I think the next step would be bylaws, I think is what the ordinance says.
Is Scott Brown going to head that project? Scott Brown going to head that project?
Yes.
Broke the bad news to him?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to go back up to guests. I saw Lisa come in. Lisa, do you want to, Lisa Carter?
Thank you, Judge. Appreciate being here. I'm I guess, part of the team of the county attorney's office that's not often in court, because I was down covering court. I have a handout for the court.
Thank you.
I'd like to address the fiscal court about a division of the district court that you may not know a lot about, but it has statutory language that triggers fiscal court involvement. It's the guardianship court. It's the court where we determine legal disabilities. This is for citizens of Marshall County that find themselves at risk of harm, either because of circumstances of birth or accident or old age, in which they find themselves and their families find themselves in a position that the person can no longer make legal decisions, can no longer make informed decisions. It does require a jury trial and petition filed in district court. It's a division that we take very seriously because it does affect citizens in our county who are at risk and who really need protection of the court. But at the same time, when we have these hearings, it affects their ability to make their own decisions. It appoints guardians and conservators. So it's an important division that we protect people's rights, but at the same time take action when necessary. In these cases, a person has to be evaluated by a 3-person team, a medical doctor, a certified licensed psychologist, and a certified social worker. Also, the person that it's about is appointed an attorney. And so those are statutory shalls, those shall occur, and in the statute that I provided you, when this is filed about a person, if they're indigent and they do not have the money, then it falls to the county to pay for those services of the attorney to represent that person and for the professionals that evaluate. Now, generally on that team, a medical doctor is usually paid by Medicare or insurance, and rarely does it come up that a county has to pay for the medical doctor proportion. Also, the statute explicitly exempts if there's a state agency that provides that. So the social worker, county does not have to pay the social worker who evaluates. But where we've ran into trouble is with a certified psychologist. And Four Rivers, which is an agency affiliated with the state, has always provided those services, and they currently do not. And this has caused a big backup in our division of trying to get people the help they need, because we need that psychologist. So the district judge has asked me to come and talk to you all, advise you about the statute that does say that the county shall pay. He has assured me, Judge Jack Telly, that he will make sure that anything we pay, that there's been official finding of indigency where the family fills out about the financials. But I will tell you that in most of the cases we handle, a lot of them are indigency cases, because you're talking maybe about a child who's becoming 18 with Down syndrome or mental retardation and limited amounts of money. You're talking about elderly people who are facing Alzheimer's and dementia. You're talking about people who've been in accidents with brain injuries. And so these are very fragile individuals, and a lot of times they don't have a lot of income. I think currently you all occasionally pay a bill by Mrs. Diana Riddick, who generally serves as our guardian ad litem. I've attached an email from her. Her rates that she charges are regulated by the statute. And then the two professionals that our court generally uses is Dr. Elmer Maggard, formerly of Four Rivers, and Dr. Holly Mattingly, and I've attached emails from them about their fees. So I just felt like before bills started showing up and you being asked to approve those, that the district court, and I generally handle this division, and Shawn is here from the county attorney's office, she handles this division. And we wanted to make sure that we felt like you were informed and you all had a idea about it. And if you ever had questions about what you're asked to pay, that you could contact any of the county attorney's office.
Lisa, how long has it been since Four Rivers has quit providing that service to the county?
3 months?
Oh,
About
so
3
it's
months.
just recent.
Very
It's
recent.
been going on 2 or 3 years, and we're not going to get hit with a backlog of,
No.
okay.
Now, we have some cases backed up. I believe about 9 cases backed up, so
Right.
you might
And
hit
you would
some
for a
there.
3-month period, but what kind of dollars are you talking about?
I think about $350 for that professional per
Okay.
case.
But you're going to say thousands,
No, no.
350,000.
No, they have promised a reasonable rate to the fiscal court. And then Ms. Riddick, who's the attorney, so you have 2 fees generally per case for cases that are indigent. You'll have the guardian ad litem fee, and she says it generally runs $200 to $300, and some cases are very complex, some cases are relatively easy. And then the doctor's fee is generally, or when I say doctor, Dr. Maggard, who's a clinical psychologist, or Dr. Mattingly, a clinical psychologist, the psychology, the mental health issue. They've capped, I think, their fee at $350. Is that your understanding, Shauna?
But my question was not necessarily the individual fees per case, but what does that compute to in a year's time? What are you talking about? We just finished the budget process.
Yes.
And that's not included in our budget.
Well, I did want to point out to you on page 2, number
So
8,
what's the figure for
that
the year?
that in 2014, there were 22 cases filed in court, in 2015, 19, and so far this year, 19. Not all of those are indigent. So if you figure about $550 to $600 a case, it won't be for every one of those, but a lot of them. And so whatever that math is, I'm going to ask
Yeah.
our treasurer to help me.
We had budgeted 6,000 for this year because they do vary from year to year. One year, we may have $5,000 worth of the indigent cases. The next year, we may only have 3. This year, it's only August, but we're over 50% of that 6,000 already. It's probably because of the backlog where a
Well,
lot of
and
them
it's going to
came
go
through.
up because we have not billed in the past fiscal court generally for Dr. Maggard or
Right.
Dr. Mattingly.
Yeah, we didn't eat that up last year at all. We had
No, we didn't.
But you'll
this
probably
year-
eat
Well
it
over
this year.
This year,
50%
we're
of
probably
that.
going to have to move reserves into that.
So what is the math on that?
We don't know. It's
Well, I know,
however
but
many.
what Lisa said, 2014, what are the numbers again?
Well, for this year, we have 9 cases pending.
10,000, so we're probably 40% short on that
Probably, yes.
$6,000.
And you all, really, I do hope that Four Rivers will pick this service back up as a valuable service to the community in mental health. And if they do, then hopefully they will have a certified psychologist that we'll again start to use. Because when state agencies provide services, the county shouldn't have to pay for that. But the statutory scheme is shall, so we're
So it's-
stuck.
It is something we have to do.
Yeah, and I think the important thing too is that there's really no way to determine how many cases you're
Right.
going to have.
I just wanted a ballpark
Yeah.
figure, and
And
that
that's
it's
why I went back and looked
$4,000, and
back.
that's not a problem. That's,
Has Four Rivers said, has there been any communication?
No.
None?
They have not. And I will tell you that generally, my experience over the last 25 years with the county attorney's office is when they stop a service, they don't pick it up. When we used to have an office right here in Benton off the Court Square, and, now people have to go to Paducah, Callaway, they don't provide, they tend to cut back, not expand. And I think that's the way a lot of things are going now.
It's a good presentation.
Oh,
know
well,
I'm-
you're
I'm-
welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Familiar with that.
All right, just wanted to keep you all informed. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would ask that, I guess there be some kind of action where you all would agree. I think Dr. Mattingly and Dr. Maggard wanted something to show that they would be, paid. So I guess if there'd be some kind of, I don't know, I'll yield to Jason and Jeff on how you all would proceed on approving them as paid professionals in indigent cases.
Yeah, I think the statute's clear as far as shall.
certainly, we're not going to give them an open checkbook, but going from $6,000 to $10,000 is not unreasonable, and,
Given
but
the change of circumstances,
do what?
given the change of
Oh,
circumstances.
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely, and obviously,
I
we
think
want to provide that
I would
service.
expect it to be twice that much. But these folks are really committed and, I don't think these providers that are really making any money at doing this either, so we can be thankful. Lisa and Shauna both have a good working relationship with them, which makes it easier in the court system and on the individuals that are involved with and because there's of a sensitive nature, very, very trying times for them and their family.
Those bills are always included in the bills you pay
Right.
as a whole.
Based on that knowledge and the need for confirmation, I'll make that motion that we accept that responsibility.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move to new business, time clock plus quote. Brad, you want to?
Yeah, what you see is the actual quote we got for our time clock plus software. This includes an export module to Red Wing and the $5,995 for, that's the initial activation cost. And then we'll have a $5,400 per year licensing on that system with the grand total of $12,294. And again, the $5,400 is the annual cost of that. So that'll take all the administrative things that we do for timekeeping into this software and really streamline our process with timekeeping and our vacation and sick.
Was that the only bidder?
We didn't bid it. It was under 12. It was under 20. I
Okay.
looked at three solutions, and this was by far the best solution out there. They work with a lot of other county government entities, so they're very well known in this area, and they can handle a lot of stuff that is specific to county government.
Refresh my memory on the, what was budgeted for this project.
I think it was.
I mean, is that part of the the big picture,
Yeah.
long-range
Yeah,
plan,
I
and
think
that-
just
that's
this-
my understanding.
It was all lumped into one for software, but I think this
Right.
part of it, we budgeted about
Right.
20,000.
That was my recollection, just want to make sure that.
Yes, yep.
With that said, y'all got any questions? If not, entertain a motion.
So moved, Judge.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, under new business, ordinance 2016-10, interlocal nuisance agreement, first reading.
Judge, this is part of the nuisance ordinance. It's, since the Hardin and the county are going in together on this, the statute requires an interlocal agreement that we'll have to do by ordinance and then submit to DLG for their approval. Ordinance reflecting an interlocal agreement between the Marshall County Fiscal Court and the City of Hardin, Kentucky, creating a nuisance code enforcement board to combat nuisance properties in the County of Marshall and the City of Hardin. Whereas KRS 658805 expressly permits cities and counties to create joint nuisance code enforcement boards to combat the problem of nuisance properties within their respective boundaries. Whereas the Marshall County Fiscal Court and the City of Hardin, Kentucky wish to take advantage of this provision. Now therefore be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County and the City of Hardin as follows. Section 1, there is hereby created the Nuisance Code Enforcement Board of Marshall County and the City of Hardin. By separate ordinances, the Marshall County Fiscal Court and the City of Hardin shall set forth in detail the makeup of the board along with the board's powers and duties. Section 2, funding to compensate the board and any code enforcement officer, if applicable, shall be agreed upon by the respective legislative bodies, but generally, any costs or expenses related to the two board members appointed by the Fiscal Court or the abatement of nuisances in unincorporated areas of Marshall County shall be the responsibility of the Marshall County Fiscal Court, and any fine money revenue received from a nuisance violation in an unincorporated area in Marshall County shall be exclusively designated to the general fund of the Marshall County Fiscal Court. Likewise, any costs or expenses related to the one board member appointed by the City of Hardin or the abatement of nuisances in the corporate limits of the City of Hardin shall be the responsibility of the City of Hardin, and any fine money revenue received from a nuisance violation in the corporate limits of the City of Hardin shall be exclusively designated to the general fund of the City of Hardin. Section 3, this interlocal agreement shall remain in full force and effect until such time as either the Marshall County Fiscal Court or the City of Hardin repeal this ordinance reflecting this interlocal agreement.
Under new business, countywide surplus authorization. You want to talk about that, Brad?
Yes, we've identified a lot of surplus property, vehicles, computer equipment, furniture that we want to surplus. We thought the best way to do it was through countywide auction, and take it all to our maintenance facility, have it on one day. We've set it for September 17th, which is a Saturday, to increase the amount of foot traffic we can get to that place. So we're right now we're getting all the items from every department head that they would like to put in that surplus, and then we'll do it all one day and get rid of it all.
All the department heads have been notified,
Yes.
that, including vehicles and,
Yes.
that we're paying insurance on that we hadn't used in 10 years kind of thing.
Yes.
Cleaning up housekeeping.
Yeah, we're going to look at I know Judge and I had talked about looking at an auctioning service, which would be a professional service, so we wouldn't necessarily have to bid it, but we do have a couple names in mind that we're going to contact and see if they will basically run that auction for the surplus sale. Yeah, to get different quotes. You can say that too.
Y'all have any questions?
We just need
I
authorization.
know we've got a lot of stuff that needs to be surplus.
We've got a couple of services here in the county, I'm sure it'd be interested in doing it.
Let's see, I believe I need a motion on that.
Motion to approve the auction for the
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I will add that we will advertise that in the paper when it comes closer to time. And speaking with Jason, we talked about just a general list of items, not necessarily every single thing, but they can pick up a specific item list from our office.
As long as we've got it, I mean, as long as it's held in a public auction, it's all, that's legitimate, isn't it?
Yes.
Jason? Yeah, that's what I thought.
And obviously, the public can review the material at the maintenance shed there. It'll be on site there. Judge, before we move on, can we go back
Yeah.
to B just a second, the nuisance agreement, interlocal agreement?
Yes.
And I know that's the first reading, but the city of Hardin, has anybody contacted the city of Benton or the city of Calvert City to see if they would be interested in participating in that? I know they both have zoning, where the county in Hardin doesn't have zoning, but it is, I know, that the nuisance ordinances in those entities, even though they have zoning, is broken, say the least. And this, in my understanding of this nuisance ordinance, and one of the reasons we're going forward with this in the county is because the state has changed the language. Is that not correct? Obviously, if they've changed the language for Hardin, they've changed the language for Benton and Calvert City. I just wondered while nobody has contacted them to see if they want to participate, since they're going to have to do the same thing.
I did. I sent
Okay.
emails to Greg Northcutt and the new city attorney for Benton.
And what
Zach.
was their response?
Neither one expressed interest in joining. I said it was an option, and I advised them.
They didn't respond back, or they said they weren't interested?
I mean, we did have correspondence back and forth. I talked to Greg on the phone about it. He wasn't aware of the new law. I
was just thinking about, I couldn't think of any reason why they wouldn't want to, join in, since they were required to update because of the changes in the law. And,
I gave him the option, so I didn't hear back.
so
one
you
way or the other.
contacted Greg and Zach?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll ask that question to them then.
I
Yeah.
think the
I sent
changes.
copies of not the latest draft, but one of my original drafts. I sent
But they were both invited, both cities were,
Yes.
through their city attorneys, were invited to join this, okay? Good deal. That's all you can do.
Memorandum of agreement on drainage issues. I know, Wendy, you've got several roads, so
Yes, I have those.
You got those.
These are the memorandums of agreement relating to properties that private properties that we need to do to transverse or do some excavation work on to affect drainage on our roadways. There are 4 of them. One is 79 Hughes Road, which belongs to Thomas Vassar, 200 New Harmony, which belongs to Michael Dillon, James Higdon at 67 Woodgrove Road, and Derek Sanderson at 506 Little Cypress. And I have the 4 agreements that will need court approval and signatures of those property owners. And I have looked at, Dr. Cock and Brad and Wendy have all provided me with aerials and descriptions of the property, and it does appear to me to be, each to be a situation that the excavation or work on the private property is directly affecting drainage and our use of the roadway.
In the state, during this last event in July, the state and federal government also pointed things like that out to us, that we're just going in there, and after each significant rainstorm, we're going back and redoing, and by, going on private property in a couple of situations, they pointed out it'll decrease the need to continue to do this repetition and improve drainage and preserve our roads.
You will need a vote on that. And you can vote on them together or individually.
that's what I was going to say. We can make a motion to do them all together.
Motion Approve, Judge signing off on these private agreements.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Hey, Jeff, would you get on the 2 in the 3rd district? Would you get those to me, and I will get those signed and get them
Yeah.
back to,
He's got it.
okay, I'll get them from the judge and get them signed in, get them back to who? So we can proceed.
Back to the clerk.
That's right, okay.
Let's see, next under new business is the 0.5% occupational tax resolution for Volker Chemical, and Josh is going to entertain us.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning. This is a resolution that refers to a project that was received preliminary approval October 25th, 2012. This is for a project at Volker Chemical where they purchased a new reactor and constructed a building to house that new equipment. There was a creation of 15 jobs within that application. At that time, the city of Calvert and the Marshall County Fiscal Court, well, the mayor of Calvert and the judge executive wrote letters of support. Those projects were both brought to those governing bodies and approved for that commitment. So what we have today is just a resolution that will commit that 0.5% from the county. The city has already passed this resolution last week, so, and I already see a misspelling of resolution at the very top, so I'll correct that. And
That was in 2012?
yes, sir. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Sometimes it takes time, especially
Government
when,
does work very quickly.
well, it wasn't necessarily the government. It was a $22 million project, and it just takes time to install all that equipment and then get to a point where they can.
Just like other projects of similar circumstance, if those jobs are not created, obviously there's no.
Yeah, and that is, I don't know if you want me to read the resolution. I'll be glad to read it to you, but that is addressed in the resolution. That's just for those 15 new jobs created. And it would just be 0.5% from the county and 0.5% from the city.
So moved.
Here a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you,
Appreciate it,
Judge.
Josh. Next on the new business, the fiscal court tax rate. Emily, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, Judge asked me to kind of explain the process of how the tax rates are assessed and generated. So I told him I would do that mainly for the citizens because the court members know how that works. But back in April or May, the PVA sends out assessments to all landowners in the county and gives them an appeal period if they disagree with his assessment of their property. Then there is a body called the Board of Appeals that sees those cases where the PVA and the citizen didn't agree on their assessment. That body makes a determination between the citizen and the PVA. For 2016, there were no appeals, so everybody agreed with their assessment. And our PVA, Tony Henson, has always been really good to work with the citizens if they do have a question or don't agree with his. They work together very well. So the Board of Appeals generally never has more than 2 or 3 that they have to review. The Board of Assessment also reviews the PVA and his staff's property that they have in the county, so that that board oversees to make sure that they wouldn't be assessing their property lower than it should be, just to make sure that they are accountable as every other citizen is. After that period is complete and the appeal is finished, those assessments are sent to the state and certified there. Part of that certification is that DLG sets a compensating rate for the real property. That compensating rate is designed to keep your income at the same level as the year before, taking into consideration any property additions or deletions that may have happened throughout the year. Since 1999, this court body has taken that compensating rate. We have not increased beyond what the state told us this is the amount will keep you whole. So, we've stated that compensating rate. For this year, the compensating rate is 9.7. Last year, our compensating rate was 9.8. Then, to set the tangible rate, you have to know which compensating rate you would like to choose. Judge instructed me to go with the compensating rate of 9.7. To do that, there's a very long and extensive calculation at how do you go about getting your tangible rate, and it gives you a range. This year, our range could go up to 10.07. Judge recommended that I put that rate at 9.8 to keep it at the same. If everybody was to pay all of their taxes on time and like they should, we would possibly have up to a $32,000 increase overall in both tax rates. So out of a $17 million budget, that does keep you really close as to where we were. So that is our recommendation to the court, that the real property be at 9.7 and tangible at 9.8. We are just wanting to present these rates to you at this meeting. You all can discuss that and think about it, and come back to us. We will ask for I will ask for approval of those rates on the September 13th meeting. Then on the September 20th meeting, I hope I will have the order that you will approve, that will have the taxing districts that we create the order to deduct from, or to collect from the county tax bills. Also, a part of this process is setting our motor vehicle and watercraft rates. Those we have kept the same for, I think, since 1999 as well. And those have been at 11.2, and we're, again, proposing 11.2.
Emily, doesn't the statute say something about the rate can't be set such that it would generate less money than the year before? Isn't that in the statute too?
I don't know that it's less. It does, I would have to review that. It does specifically state you cannot go, or there's a process. If you go over a 4% increase, then you have to go through public hearings and a lot of stuff like that. But I'm not sure about less.
Well, that's not the case, that if the example you gave us, if everybody paid their taxes on time, which they're not going to do, or everybody paid their taxes, that we're $32,000
Right.
greater than last year, so that's,
Right. However, because the tangible rate, technically tangible, at 9.8, there would be a $2,300 loss in tangible. Real property would go up 34,000. So it was 32,000 is what my calculation was, if everybody paid on time like they should. So tangible could possibly generate less. We might need to look at that, but,
I think it talks about in total.
okay,
I don't think you're allowed to set it up in a perfect world where it would be less money than.
okay.
did you say that is total of all the rates?
Yeah.
Okay. So
If that's the case, then we would
if we
be,
approve the judge's recommendation, we are leaving the tax rate the same.
with the real would go down 0.1.
Right.
It would go to 9.7 as the state
We're leaving the same
recommended.
or lowering the tax rate. Okay.
We just wanted to get this information to you today.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions regarding it?
Under new business, fiscal court audit quotes.
In your package, you've also received a fairly thick printout of our audit cost, or potential costs. And it itemizes for you fiscal year 2009 to fiscal year 14's billing from the state. The judge and I have agreed that we would like to, we wanted to not participate in the state's RFP, which is a request for proposal. The state will tell you, state auditor's office will tell us, we're either going to do your audit or we're not going to do your audit. If they are not going to do our audit, which we know they are not, but they have to every 4 years if they have staff available to do so. But, so if they're not going to do our audit, and we know they are not, then they will either put out the RFP for us, or we ask them to do that ourselves. We asked them to do that ourselves this year. The state has done our audit for the past 3 years in a row. Prior to that, we had also decided we did not want to go through the state's RFP process again. The state bids us out to different audit firms. It typically is a different firm every year. They typically send very inexperienced auditors down, and it takes quite a bit of time, and it's a lot of opinions. The auditor's opinion vary from year to year. So the reason in us deciding that we wanted to not participate in the state's RFP process and to ask for a proposal from an audit firm ourselves is to hopefully build a relationship with an audit firm that will have consistency. If they have a finding on our procedures, we'd like to either correct that or have the same opinion next year. We don't want to be satisfying one person one year and one person the next year and another person the next year, because it's very often that they will tell you to correct it one way one year. You do that the next year, you have a different auditor, and they will cite you for it as well. So we have solicited quotes from, I sent it out to 7 different audit firms. These are either audit firms that we have used in the past or are local, or we have what used to be a component unit, is not anymore, has used. So I got quotes back from 4 of the 7. 1 declined, 2 did not respond. So these, again, I'm only asking for you to look at them and review them. It does have the state auditor recommends that we get a copy of their peer review, and look at the State Board of Accountancy's activity on them to see if they've had any disciplinary action or not. All of that is included in your packet, so if you all would please review that and then be prepared to make a selection at the next fiscal court meeting.
Let me ask you this, on the cost amount of these audits, how does that compare with what the state charged us the last 3 years?
Well, in the range of quotes,
What did the state charge us last year? There's just completed.
we haven't gotten the bill for fiscal year 15 yet, because 14, it was,
12?
our cost was $13,782.01. Fiscal year 13, $14,483.08. Fiscal year 12, $21,640.83. When it was higher that year, if we have what is called a single audit, which means we've received more than the threshold amount of federal funds, they have to do a single audit. Those single audits can range between $2,500 and $10,000 based off of the audit firm's quote.
So basically, these are, or a couple of these are ballpark with what we used to paying.
Yes, yes.
And we're
Yes.
going down a year, obviously, the cost of this stuff goes
Yes.
up just like everything else.
Yes.
And
Well, and
it's
the
comparable
single-
to 14 rates, or at least 2 of these bids. So.
Yes, the single audit, I don't foresee us hitting that unless we get a really big grant. They've increased the threshold to that to $750,000. So that's gonna be a lot harder to hit. It used to be $250, then they raised it to
Hope we
$500.
get it a couple of
So-
times.
Yeah, yes, so it was $500, and $500, if you have 2 or 3 smaller grants, you can hit that. But this year, we were at like 130,000 is what federal dollars that we had received. So we're well underneath that $750,000 threshold.
I like the idea of doing that for consistency, and certainly if and being involved in these for several years, that I understand that principle, and you get written up from the same thing every year, and you know the reason why and so forth, instead of them sending somebody in whatever they're stressing that year or their priorities are about that different person that's here, kind of doesn't give you that consistency.
I think that's the difference between the Mayfield firm and the Lexington firm.
Yes.
Huge.
We ran into the past, I guess, a lot of it, we end up with travel and you end up with travel expenses and housing expenses as they go through this. And if it takes them a couple of weeks sometimes, it ends up counting up where we've talked about in the past, trying to get someone local. If we can get someone we feel like we can depend on, then that would cut the cost quite a bit.
You know, the state was here a lot more than 2 weeks. They were here 2 or 3 months.
Yes.
The cheapest one, why has it got what's the disciplinary action?
From what, it's included in here, but from what I could tell, they probably had a new accountant doing some of the work, the review work, and that the CPA signed off on the other person's work, and they weren't necessarily qualified to do that work yet, is kind of what I determined from it.
That would not be a flag as far as us considering hiring them.
That was several years ago, so I think you all should take it into consideration, but also take into consideration their peer review and their, they've also, a lot of them have, I asked them to list references of the other fiscal courts that they have done in the past, and they do many of the surrounding counties because they are located here in
These
West
people
Kentucky.
do.
Romaine and Associates from Mayfield.
Right, I'm familiar with
$10,000
that.
cheaper, too.
Obviously, nobody else that sent a bid or bid the work is local besides Mayfield. Do you know the counties that have used the lowest bid in this example here? Or off the top of your head, or can you get us that
Yes, we
information? Who?
The
We can,
The
if we
ones,
haven't.
yeah, Romaine, I know, the very last page, they either do or have done Graves, Callaway, Carlisle, Lyle, Trigg, Livingston, Caldwell, Crittenden, Ballard, and Hickman.
Who was that, Romaine and Associates? We can,
Oh, that answered my question right there.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've worked extensively, and we can check with those other entities and see if they've been satisfied, and you know what you're getting. It's definitely a good idea.
Piercy and Gray listed Taylor County, Lincoln County, Pulaski County, and I also know they have done Todd County as well. They all have pretty long lists of the
Yeah,
counties
that's good. That's
or governmental bodies that they have done. However, I don't necessarily care that Dean Dorton, Allen, and Ford did Georgetown College audit. That's apples and oranges instead of apples and apples. They have different set of standards.
that's for y'all's review. Next meeting, we'll look at deciding who we want to go with. Under new business, the intra-fund transfer.
I'm asking to move from occupational tax fund to the general fund, $750,000. That is a portion of the budgeted subsidy from occupational tax to general fund.
Move we make the transfer.
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is treasurer's report.
As of July 31st, 2016, the general fund had a book balance of $328,480.39. The road fund, $293,977.31. The jail fund, $247,587.73. The grant fund, $1,161.38. 911 fund, $94,206.96. Occupational tax administrator, $2,729,187.99. Veterans Van Fund, $3,328.58. ABC Fund, $14,493.92. And Building Inspection Fund, $39,239.87, for a total reporting funds of $3,741,700. $664.13.
Entertain a motion, subject to audit.
Motion to approve, Judge.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approve payment of the bills.
Pay the bills, Judge.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. One thing that I didn't put on their new business was swearing in Dennis Faust, in the county attorney's office as an assistant county attorney. So I'm going to swear him in. We're going to go ahead and do that real quick. We can do it right out here, Dennis. We'll get you on camera.
Judge, I appreciate you, you doing this as a county employee. The judge, we're going to call him the judge regardless, is now, he would now qualify to be an assistant, and he has agreed to offer some services to assist us, and we do appreciate that a great deal. We'll try to teach him a few things and get him up to.
We do a background check?
Yeah, we need a
background
Okay, Judge, just raise your hand. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, so long as I continue a citizen thereof, and that I will faithfully execute to the best of my ability the office of the County Attorney's Office according to law. And I do further solemnly swear that since the adoption of the present Constitution, I, being a citizen of this state, have not fought a duel in a deadly weapon within the state, nor out of it, nor have I sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have I acted as second in carrying a challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offending. So help me God. Thank you, sir.
Dennis, you sure you hadn't fought a duel? You sure? Okay.
Next on their new business is executive session. We're going to be talking about possible land acquisition, personnel, and litigation.
Move we go into executive session, Judge.
Is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Morris County Fiscal Court back to order. After executive session, we had litigation and land acquisition. Under personnel, what we're going to do with council, we have discussed, we're going to write a letter, a formal letter outlining what our expectations are from the sheriff's department. Right now, I've got a vacation payout that on an employee out of your department that we cannot determine the hours for that employee. And I'd like for you to give me your advice as far as how we do that payout, because we can't determine that based off the policy and the practice that is currently going on. But the letter is going to be a formal letter that's going to outline the discrepancies that we have identified for your office, and we are going to sit down in a couple of days and send you that letter, and it's going to be a formal letter. Do we need a motion on that?
No, you just, well, yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have a motion since we're going to do a formal.
There's actually, there's two things. The one, the vacation payout. Obviously, this employee is got some expectations here, but we can't determine the hours based off of the documentation. So I would entertain from your office what your recommendation is to pay out this employee based off the documentation, because right now we can't determine that. And you can get that to us today, tomorrow, but I would entertain a motion that that happens by tomorrow. Let's just make it by tomorrow, close of business.
think we all need to communicate. I mean, I don't know that we need a motion to do that, but we certainly all need to be on the same page and have the answers to these questions of some of the things that were discussed.
Well, I don't know when if this gentleman's
I don't
going on
either. I agree.
vacation
I
or
agree
if he's
with you.
expecting to pay rent. I mean,
I agree.
I
with
think we
that.
need to take action on it.
I think we all agree that that it needs to be done and the communication needs to be there so that the entities can understand what's going on, and without communicating, that's not going to happen. So, I mean, if we need to put it in a form of a motion, I think none of us are objected to, and the sheriff's not objected to sitting down and find a solution, hopefully, also, so.
Well, I think that's what the council told us was to do
Okay,
it in the form of a
I'll
motion.
make that motion.
Yeah. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we can sit down if you want to and figure out how to get that man paid. The other motion would be the formal letter that we're going to draft out of my office to submit to his office. Is there
You need a motion on that?
Yeah.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. If you got any questions?
Yeah, because I don't know who or what we're talking about. And
That's why. Okay.
And if it was one of my employees, I don't understand why I wasn't included in the conversation or in the executive session.
Well, we talked the other day, you've got a policy, your documentation that's been submitted is very confusing. And actually, we're going off your policy. We just passed the administrative code back in June. We talked about it in January as far as policy review, and your policy's not up to date, the one that we have. But we have talked about that employee. This vacation payout, you have to approve the vacation payout. There's only one. That's in your policy. I mean, I'm going off your documentation.
Okay, I will get with you in a minute.
Okay. Make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.